Well, I think John was one of the people in the business that I would call a pro.
There was nobody faster on deadline. He could pound out a story and you were still organizing your notes.
Competitive is the word you'll hear most about John. He would knock you on your butt if he had to get where he was going.
Never give up, never give up. John was one who, in good times and bad, always exhorted his staff to say, we can do this, we can do better.
What you saw was what you got with John all the time. A lot of sports writers get into sports because they're frustrated athletes and they can't make it in the sports world, so they think, okay, I'm going to become a sports writer and I'll be around it all my life. For John, he was a great athlete already.
I think he also liked the idea of being able to tell the story, and he found out that by working in a newspaper, he could be around sports, earn a living, and really satisfy that thirst he had to learn stuff and to know stuff.
He was a smart guy, and I think it would have been a shame for him to not have gone to college.
He made the right decisions for the right reasons. He was not political. John was thorough, meticulous, fair, balanced, and most of all, the consummate professional. A good man.
We didn't really become friends until the early 70s when the paper hired BLAINE NEWNHAM. BLAINE put together a team that became known nationally as one of the best sports departments of any size newspaper anywhere in the country, and John was an integral part of that team.
In 1976, we were judged the best sports section in the country on papers of any size. The Miami Herald was second and the New York Times was third.
These were the days before the internet, before cell phones. Cable television was just beginning. I thought so much of what John did with his newspaper, especially in Eugene, that I paid somebody to call me every morning at 9:30 to tell me what was in the sports section of the Register Guard. The wire services didn't pick it up for a day or two, and I didn't want to be 2 days behind a story that they broke.
It was always the readers he was watching out for. It wasn't for personal gain and personal glory, although he got some of that too, rightfully so, but he was always watching out for the readers. And as a leader and as an editor, that's a chief responsibility and an obligation that he really believed and carried out.
And having a good time was all part of the experience because it gave us an esprit de corps that was the best work experience I ever had.
He never cared what I thought about something. He only wanted me to think something. He wanted the column to have a point, and he encouraged me to do that because that didn't necessarily come naturally for me. I was more of a feature writer. I wanted to tell stories, and he encouraged me to have my own style, to tell those stories, but also to take a stand, to have an angle, to have a viewpoint.
Well, John was a beat writer for many years covering Oregon football, and some of those years were very trying. I'm sure he had a hard time writing some stories after some of our performances. And then later he became the sports editor, but that's when we were starting to get good, and he didn't want to give up covering his Ducks, so he did both.
John was adopted as a baby and never knew his real parents and always wondered what his health history was. Once his mother died, he decided to go into his birth parents and find out what he could find out. He didn't find out about their health, but he found out other things. He found out that his birth father was a sports writer, and he found out his birth mother was a softball player during the war. Even though he didn't know any of that, he became a pitcher, a baseball pitcher, and a sports writer. I just think that is so wonderful that happened.
John wasn't a micromanager. You could go a couple of days without having a conversation with John. He wanted guys who covered their beats, who were there for the big stories, who got up for the big stories, who, worked their butts off during the big stories.
You don't just create things out of the air or out of rumors. You have to have facts that support your story. And John was always diligent in that regard, that he always had to have facts.
A story was discussed, a news story that involved the business community, a story that was sure to upset certain advertisers. The discussion evolved to the point where some editors were questioning whether the paper should publish this story because it could cause problems for the owners of the paper, the Baker family. At that point, John did a rare thing. He spoke up from the back of the room and he said, "Well, I know what I would do, and I'd be able to look at myself in the mirror the next morning." The story was published. The Baker family, of course, was great with it. They're tremendous. They understand the news, but that was John.
On behalf of the Baker family and all of your colleagues at the Register Guard, this is a most fitting tribute.
You earned it, and you did it the right way. Congratulations, pal.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud that I got to know you. I miss you deeply.
I'd like to congratulate John and his family on a well-deserved recognition, and for the university for recognizing him and not forgetting the elements and the hard work of journalism as we move into a new era. And John is someone to follow and to celebrate.
It is a tribute and an honor that he richly deserves.
I just want you to know that we all still remember you and remember you well.
Laura, Scott, Shelley, family, on John's behalf, congratulations. This is a great honor for him, for you, and for all of us.